Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Happy to be here for another edition of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Podcast about, well, baseball. It's in the title. I think you guys probably already got that. We do this just because we like doing it. Nobody pays us to do it. Nobody forces us to do it. Nobody's got a pitchfork or anything to us, prodding us, a sharp stick or anything like that. We come and we do this because we like it, because we love baseball. Once again, we're going to hit all the major spots, but today, since the College World Series is done, it lines up perfectly that now it's All-Star game time. We're just a little over halfway through the season. The All-Star game is never the exact halfway point, but everybody's played about 81 games now, some more, some a little less. And, things are settling in. It's crazy because now after this, the rush is from the All-Star game. About 2 to 3 weeks later, trade deadline. So we'll have a lot to talk about after the All-Star game. But today we'll hit on the All-Star game. Of course, we'll tell you what happened with the Dodgers and the Angels. Take a look around baseball, and it's time for Players of the Month and such as well. And really, when you look at it, there's really only one player that's probably going to be Player of everything. I think he did it all. And of course, we'll get to him when we get there. But first off, we're going to take a look at All-Star Game weekend festivities, the game, the draft, the home run derby, what we know now, and what we found out, who got snubbed. So let's get right to it. Before we get started today, let's remind everybody where you can find us on our social media. And apparently we I still keep hearing that we're missing the one thing that could make us famous.
What is the one thing?
Well, I was watching Young Guns the other day.
Okay.
And Billy the Kid, who ran in your area.
Yes.
He pointed a gun at somebody and said, "I'll make you famous." So apparently we just need to be shot by Billy the Kid and we'll be famous.
All right.
Or we can set up a TikTok account.
Oh, TikTok.
So they say. I don't know. I'm still not convinced about that. Recently, I keep hearing people talking about talking with one of my coworkers, being on each other's Snapchat. Once again, something else I have no clue about. TikTok I kind of get because everybody's out there doing it, and there's a bunch of people that probably shouldn't be on TikTok that are.
Right. Yeah.
We aren't, and apparently everybody tells me that's the way you're going to be famous.
That's the way. What is that?
Oh,
it's like from The Mandalorian. It is the way.
It's the way. Yes. Yeah. Yoda shared that with us. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Anyway, you can find us on our non-famous social media pages on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A,
and on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And of course, check us out on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. We've been thinking too about expanding out our t-shirt line from one that we've never offered up to anybody. We've given them away, but we've never offered up, from one to a few. And if you are listening and you feel compelled to reach out to us through any of those places, by all means do, and let us know what you think. Well, we can put some ideas that we have for t-shirts up on the website. If you like them, then we can figure out how we would want to proceed to that and get you t-shirts. But in the meantime, that's where you find us. And like I said, reach out to us, DM us on any of those, and or post on our page. Yeah, we want to see what kind of web pictures you got, or T-shirts you got, and we can start working on that. We would love to hear from you, even if you don't care about T-shirts. And with that, let's talk about the All-Star Game. All the voting is over. The chips have fallen where they're going to fall, and we have those who have been elected to be starters. The reserves and the pitchers have been selected, and those are from player ballots and then whatever the commissioner decides to do. And now we know that this is an ever-evolving thing until the game itself, because they're coming up on Sunday, the last day of games before the break. There's pitchers that may throw on Sunday that were selected as all-stars. They're not going to be able to pitch on Tuesday.
No, they'll just be able to hang out, enjoy the festivities.
Right, as elected. And of course, there's injuries that come up. Just found out about one that the guy's not going to be in there for the third year in a row due to an injury that just happened. So, all that's going to keep happening. But for now, the all-star rosters, as far as we know, are set. So let's take a look and see what who got where. Now, the starters are all elected by we the fans. And so all of it's about popularity, whoever can get their groups out there to vote the heaviest. I would say that the Texas Ranger fans probably threaten people to vote for their guys, and then the Braves were threatening to chop somebody, I guess. I don't know, because they were pretty much overwhelming, with the Braves taking away the most players overall, and then the Rangers were second. In fact, the Rangers pretty much the Rangers starting nine will be the starting nine for the American League All-Star Game team. So let's start at catcher. Go around the diamond. Who will be starting for the American League?
Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers.
And then at first base, Yandy Diaz from Tampa Bay.
And second base will be Marcus Semien of the Rangers.
Third base, another Texan in Josh Young, rookie third baseman, making his first appearance. Some of these guys are making their first All-Star Game appearances.
Yeah, and Josh Young, it's the first Rangers rookie to start an All-Star Game since the franchise moved in 1972.
All but one player in the infield is a Ranger, and that was Yandy Diaz. Shortstop, Corey Seager, who's been there on the other side of the field for the National League a couple times. Then we go to the outfield. Two guys that probably aren't going to play, but were elected as all-stars: Aaron Judge and Mike Trout. Like I said, Mike Trout, we just found out, has an injury that is going to take him out, and this is the third year in a row. Trout, 10th time voted in. This will be the fourth time he's had to miss it for some reason.
I wonder, does he have something going on?
He's got to go check and see how the golf course is going back at home that he's building with Tiger Woods.
That's right. Yeah, so those two players will be replaced. We don't know who they will be replaced with, and if they will be replaced with somebody from
the Rangers. Probably Adolis Garcia was named as a reserve, so he's probably
that's true. Yeah. So a lot of times they the fans like to see, if it's Mike Trout can't make it, then we need another, angel there, but that's not how it works.
No, because there's another angel already there, and they only need at least one from each team. That's one of the deals that always in play. One player, each team. So every team's represented, but sometimes the player that goes isn't always the best representative. But that's what happens. So the actually, they're just going to go with one outfielder this year to start the game, and that'll be Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, he'll be everywhere.
All of it.
Johnny
he's going to have to get with Tim Anderson and figure out how he does that omnipresent thing.
Yes. He needs to do in the outfield what Tim Anderson does on the infield.
Right. And on the bases, usually.
Yeah.
Oh, recently.
Right.
I didn't notice him on the bases at all over the last couple series that I've seen him in.
Maybe he's taking a little bit of a break.
Maybe. And of course, all-world player of the year. Probably if you stopped it today, he's the MVP of the American League, and that would be Shohei Ohtani.
Right. Yeah. And he was in the American League. I think he was the top vote getter in the American League.
Right. So he didn't have to go through the second round.
Right.
He automatically, by virtue of winning the vote, moved on. And then, no surprise here, also picked as a pitcher for the All-Star game. And he's been pitching well. We'll talk about that when we get to the Angels segment here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the National League that saw quite a few old timers, or multiple All-Star team, why can't I say this correct? Multiple All-Star selections.
Yes.
For a few of these guys, and the starting lineup has 3 Dodgers in it.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
All right. Well, why don't you take us around the infield and I'll grab the outfield.
All right. So for catcher, Sean Murphy from Atlanta. And then first baseman, Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers. He is the first Dodgers first baseman to start an All-Star game since Steve Garvey did it in 1980.
Wow. Steve Garvey, 8 All-Star selections over his career. And I think Freddie's at 7. I'm pretty sure if he keeps playing the way he's playing, he's going to pass Steve.
And then no surprise here, first Marlins second baseman to start an All-Star game, Luis Arraez.
I don't agree with that because his batting averages fall into like 385 or something like that. I mean, he's really fallen off. I know.
Loser. Nolan Arenado, of course, of the Cardinals at third base. I don't agree with that one. Just because it's really for him, it's a name only, and that's it.
But who is there playing third base that, I mean, I know there's probably guys that are playing well, but who off the top of your head, when you think of third baseman?
Yeah, at the top of your head, you're going to think Nolan Arenado, obviously, Manny Machado.
Right. Okay.
And Austin Riley.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Right. So overall, and Manny didn't make it.
No.
Wasn't voted in, wasn't anything. Didn't get the in fact the Padres, who would have thought about at the beginning of the season, you would have thought you would have seen 3 or 4 at least walk away with a sole representative as a reserve. They had no, obviously when you vote in like 20 Atlanta Braves, it's hard to get there. And I get it. Atlanta is right now playing the best baseball of anybody.
Oh yeah, they're crazy on fire.
And they've got, they've always said St. Louis fans are the best baseball fans in terms of the game. They know the game. They appreciate the game. They appreciate other players playing the game well. I mean, they're very big on their team. Whereas the Braves, they're just like rabid. They're like, rabid dogs. They all have rabies over there. They're foaming at the mouth, wearing their pearls and fake mustaches.
Do they still wear the pearls?
I don't think so. I just,
that'd be funny if they did with the mustache.
But yeah, I mean, Austin Riley, we know Austin Riley shows up as another Brave, deserving. But it's like, how is it that he didn't get voted in? I think he was number 2.
Yeah.
Arenado's had a really down year this year so far, but right now he's the premier third baseman.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to, how many Golden Gloves he's got, Platinum Glove. It's not defensively. He's, when you look at numbers over his career, yes, he is an all-star. This year, is he an all-star?
No. But
No.
I said the same about Mike Trout.
Right.
I don't think Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout got in simply because people voted for him that may not even really see him play because they heard he's the greatest player in the world.
Right.
Next to Shohei now these days.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So shortstop, another Brave, Orlando Acia.
I'm that one was kind of surprising just simply because he doesn't have a lot of name recognition in my mind outside of probably that area.
Yeah, outside of Atlanta, the Fulton County area. That's
Cobb County, because that's where they play now.
That's right. Oh, right. Yeah, Cobb County.
Cobb and Fulton.
Yeah,
everybody
they know
knows.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, they call him O in those areas.
Yeah.
We're like, who? No, O.
Don't you know who O is?
Right.
Get with it.
So he takes the shortstop, another Brave, and of course this one was a gimme because he was the top vote getter, not only for the National League, but overall. And I think they're ready to give him the MVP right now, and he is playing like he deserves it. Ronald Acuna Jr. He is driving that team, and it seems like every time I watch Quick Pitch or any kind of highlight show, it's half of the Braves games are highlights about him. Yeah. And then they throw in, Strider struck out 26. But look at Acuna go.
I know. He stole 30 bases during this game and hit 15 home runs.
That's right.
All of them, and I was going to say all of them lead off.
Yes, they were all leadoff home runs in one game. He is doing the impossible for them. All right, he led all vote getters, like we said, and he's got the first spot in the outfield, followed by Mookie Betts, who has also shown. I mean, this guy's just been hitting leadoff home run after leadoff home run. We talked about that a few weeks ago, where he ranks overall. The way he's going, though, he might very well get up there to into the same stratosphere as like George Springer in them.
Yeah, and he's obviously he's voted in the outfield, but he could be, you need him at second, you need him at short,
right?
Put him there.
Well, and there was a game recently where they moved him from the outfield and he went in and took over at short, and
he's doing it all.
Presumptive Rookie of the Year out of Arizona, who took this last weekend off. Is not on the IL and is presumed he's going to be playing in his very first All-Star game, and that would be Corbin Carroll from the D-backs. Kind of surprised that there's not more D-backs.
Yeah, with the way they've been playing, you would think that there would be more. But that could be also mean a snub. I think Ketel Marte was deserving of a starting position. Corbin Carroll, this is special for him. He is the first Diamondback rookie to start an All-Star game, and he will be doing it in his native city of Seattle.
That's right. I did hear that he is from Seattle. And Marte wasn't even picked as a reserve. He may end up taking somebody's spot that opens up, but they went with Dansby Swanson. So I wonder if it's part of it could be is Dansby's more known. And this is through players and stuff. And Marte's still playing for a team. I don't even think unless you're in the West, I don't even think the Major League Baseball in whole really realizes what's happening in Arizona.
I don't think so either, because I think that you always think of Arizona, they've always been in the cellar. It's always been who's going to finish last. Is it going to be the Rockies or it's going to be the Diamondbacks? And this year they are quietly just going about their business, winning games. They signed Torey Lovullo like they do every year to another contract. And this year something's happening in the desert.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you could say that they were a winner, back from when Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, and those guys were there. And then finally, we've got the DH, and you got to wonder if the Dodgers would have ended up with JD Martinez if they had kept JT. they'd have kept Justin Turner. I would like to have seen both of them.
Yes.
That would be really good.
That would be awesome. But yeah, I don't think so. I think with them not extending, an offer, not, getting JT back, the Dodgers got JD. And there are times when I'm watching the game and I'm like, come on, JD. It's hard.
JDM.
Yeah. That's what I should call him, JDM.
There's your starting lineups. Like we said, there's a few of those guys that are already not going to be playing. So let's take a look at, what do you say? Let's take American League and pitchers.
Okay. Yeah, we already mentioned Shohei Ohtani will be one of the pitchers for the American League. And then you have Garrett Cole of the Yankees, Luis Castillo of the Mariners, Sonny Gray, Nathan Eovaldi of the Rangers, Kevin Gausman of the Blue Jays, Shane McClanahan of the Rays, Framber Valdez of the Astros, Michael Lorenzen of the Detroit Tigers, formerly of the Los Angeles Angels.
Yep. And I think he's probably one of the only players in MLB that wears Vans cleats.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Kenley Jansen was selected to represent the Red Sox. Emmanuel Clase was selected for the Guardians. Felix, I'm trying to be all Clase, Felix Batista of the Orioles. And then also, is it Yanier Canyo of the Orioles?
All right. We already know that McClanahan will not be.
McClanahan and possibly Valdez, because he isn't on the IL, but he's been, he does have like a ankle sprain.
Right. He's had a little issue there. So we may see what we're going to see a lot of changes after Sunday's games. That, as far as pitchers that will be added to the roster because somebody pitched, or an injury, or just, maybe even and I'll quotation injury, because they really don't want to put him out there at that point. My guess would be Nathan Eovaldi probably for the starter. McClanahan probably would have been my choice if he was going to be there, but I think Eovaldi is the guy. Shohei, this is the third year in a row that he's been selected on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be a couple questions, and we'll bring this up. I think a little bit about snubs and stuff. I think there was a big snub here in the among the relievers in the pitchers there. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's move on and talk about the National League pitchers. We'll start with the Dodger that's on the list, and the old man making or being selected to his 10th All-Star team, Clayton Kershaw. Not to give away too much to take away from the wheel, but we know Clayton's not going to be participating this year, other than in the festivities. And then we have Alexis Diaz out of Cincinnati, Camilo Doval from San Francisco, two Braves. So like I said, it's going to be just basically the Brave clubhouse
right
in there with Bryce Elder and rightly so, Spencer Strider, who leads MLB in strikeouts this season, both from the Braves and both making their first All-Star appearances. Here's one that I think we were both surprised by and would love to have kept him based on how things shook out in the end. Josiah Gray, who went to the Nationals. This is his first All-Star game. Went to the Nationals so that we could get, as part of a deal, also Keeper Ruiz went with him so that we could get Dead Arm Scherzer.
Yep.
And Trader Turner.
That's exactly right. Both not with the team anymore. So
see what
those
I did
are
there?
appropriate.
Trader
I like it. I like it.
Anyway, so yeah, you know what? At the end, when you see stuff like this, you go, it's like every time that we talk about Jordan Alvarez, the guy that imagine had they kept him, what he may be doing there. Who knows? But it's those things here at the end of the trade. Who really won the trade?
Yeah, exactly.
Really, in that case, the Nationals did, because neither of those guys are with the Dodgers, and neither of them really helped win a title.
No.
Josh Hader making his fifth All-Star game out of with the Padres. So the Padres get two. I was thinking Juan Soto. I keep thinking Juan Soto's the only one. We'll get to the reserves in a minute. But and then, of course, we mentioned Clayton. Justin Steele from the Cubs will join Marcus Stroman, also from the Cubs. And then Devin Williams, Rookie of the Year reliever from a couple of years back from Milwaukee, will make his second All-Star appearances. So of the 12 pitchers there, of 8 of the 12 pitchers selected are first-time All-Stars this time around here. It'll be fun to watch those guys.
Yeah.
Because that's what they asked Mookie about being selected All-Star. He's like, which one do you remember? He goes, the first one.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of them all,
so.
I just kind of, they're there. And it's not that I don't forget that I forgot them, but, not like the first one.
Yeah.
And then, and Kershaw, with his 10th career All-Star selection, passes up Justin Verlander, who was at 9. Let's take a look at the reserves. Why don't we start in the American League and catchers?
Salvador Perez of the Royals and Adley Rutschman of the Orioles.
I heard an interesting thing about Rutschman. Since he's been a full-time player for the Orioles, they have not been swept.
Wow. That's interesting.
That was a crazy stat when I heard that. So that's pretty cool. Perez making his 8th All-Star game. Who was picked for the National League at catcher reserves?
We have Matt Olson. No, we do not. Will Smith of the Dodgers, who we really wanted to beat out, that pesky Brave, but didn't happen. Sean Murphy made it. But he's in there. And then who else?
And then Elias Diaz from the Rockies.
I lost my place there. Yeah, and this actually, so I think the commissioner's office is more responsible to make sure that every team is represented. But for Elias Diaz, this is, I think it's well deserved, because he's a bright spot for the Rockies this season.
Yeah, he's definitely been. I was not surprised when I saw him. In fact, I would have been more surprised that he wasn't.
Right.
That was 2 there. Sean Murphy, I think, he's a great catcher. Has been a big help to the Braves, and it just makes them even. The Braves are. Think about it. You got Travis d'Arnaud and Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy's not out. You don't lose anything really by changing that out. It really makes it. That's what's making them so strong. And of course, we thought Will Smith definitely was not just because of being Dodger fan, but he definitely has earned that spot. All right, let's look at infielders for the American League. Guy that I thought would have been the starter at shortstop for the American League over Corey Seager, gets his second All-Star selection, and that's Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and he has been doing it all season long. I think Corey Seager had been on the IL. He came back and has just really been, good. But Bo Bichette's been doing it all season.
Yeah, he's been amazing all season long. He is joined by 2 of his teammates, also selected as reserves in the infield, with no surprise here, Vladdy Jr. And then Whit Merrifield Makes it his first time as a Blue Jay. He's made it 2 previous times as a Royal. And then, and this one, I believe this next one, I believe is deserving of it, but it does bring up a question, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Jose Ramirez, J-Ram, making his 5th All-Star appearance, is definitely, for Cleveland. Cleveland was in first place, I think, on last Sunday. I don't know if they still are, because it's just a revolving door in there, and most of them are hardly playing 500. In the National League, it looks like our reserves in the National League include somebody you've already alluded to.
Oh, Matt Olson, right?
Right. Matt Olson, who leads Major League Baseball in strikeouts, but has also been a big part of the Braves surging, being, like I said, arguably the best team in baseball right now.
Yeah, and he is going to be joined because he plays first base, and then you got Ozzie Albies at second, Austin Riley at third, and their shortstop was named a starter. So,
right. So
crazy.
Almost like the Rangers, you could have a full infield of Braves, and
you would, because their catcher was also the starter. So, yeah.
And then if Arcia comes out of the game and you put Swanson in, he's a former Brave, even though he's the Cubs. And Dansby Swanson, who I believe Ketel Marte should have been named in that spot before Swanson. He's having a much better season. Swanson's a great ball player and literary figure, character. But I just, And then finally, the Polar Bear.
Yeah, Pete Alonso there representing the Mets, the lone.
I was going to say
the lone Met,
because the Mets are. We got a nice little stat about the Mets. We'll talk about in Around Baseball, and in fact, coming up, I think it's either right the weekend before or the weekend right after the All-Star game. The Dregs and the Mets, the 2 most disappointing, underachieving teams, match up.
They should have some kind of cup.
Yeah, the Losers Cup. It's got a hole in the bottom so everything leaks out. That could be it. All right, American League outfielders. Got a couple of first-timers on this list. We already mentioned Adolis Garcia.
Right.
This is his 2nd All-Star selection. He'll join by another guy from the state of Texas that we just mentioned a few minutes ago. Yordan Alvarez will also be making his 2nd All-Star selection. And then the 2 first-timers out of Baltimore, Austin Hayes. And you want to get all fancy.
Luis Robert Jr.
Representing the White Sox there, his first All-Star selection there as a outfielder. So probably one of these guys or 2 of these guys will move into starting positions to cover for Trout and Judge.
Right.
And then they'll move in a couple other guys to so who knows who'll end up taking those spots. The National League, as far as the outfielders go, 3 of them. One guy who we'll talk about having a pretty decent weekend when Arizona came to Anaheim is and sporting some great purple hair, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., new American citizen.
Yes. Yeah.
And now first-time All-Star. We mentioned Juan Soto earlier, making his 3rd All-Star appearance, the 2nd Padre to be in there. And then finally, a Philly in Nick Castellanos, who's been playing well, just like he did last year. But, towards the end of the year, he was an all-star in Cincinnati. Previously, that was his second. Lone representative from their team as the second designated hitter from the Oakland A's, Brent Rooker. Da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, he's been having a good year for the A's, putting up some decent numbers. I mean, nothing like April. In April, he was having like Shohei month. He was like batting .353, 9 homers, 22 RBIs, and of course that really helped push him forward. And getting that first All-Star selection. And it would have been a major slight had this guy not been added to the All-Star team. I don't remember hearing anybody else from Miami.
Luis Arraez.
Oh, except for that disappointment, only batting .388 or whatever. This guy, there's no reason why he should have been left off, or I mean, maybe he's not going to be voted in as a starter, but definitely no reason he should be left off, and he wasn't. They got him at the last second. That's Jorge Soler, who went on a tear, hit a lot of home runs, and he was a home run champ in Kansas City. And this year, if he keeps going and hitting home runs the way he had been, he might very well be in a place to win the NL home run champion. He's going to have to get past Alonso, though. Alonso right now is the Olsen leads the National League in home runs. Alonso's second, Soler's like third in the National League. So there you go. There is the pitchers, the reserves, and of course the starters for this upcoming All-Star game, which will be on Tuesday. What is that, the 11th?
The 11th, yep. And my favorite part of the whole All-Star experience is the home run derby. I think that's the most fun. Better than the game.
Last year was really fun. It had gotten a little
Yeah.
And then and last year it was fun. Julio Rodriguez, of course, blows everybody away. Juan Soto thought he was going to get in there and get it. I think part of it too was Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
And the fact that nobody thought he was going to get out of the first round.
Right.
And he really pushed along and made it fun and interesting. So far, I don't think we've got a full lineup set for the home run derby, but I do know we've got a fair amount of participants. What do we have so far?
We have Mookie Betts, who will be doing the home run derby for the first time, and then Pete Alonso. This is his fourth derby. Adley Rutschman, his first. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his second time. Julio Rodriguez, this is his second year. And then Randy Arozarena will be joining for his first time.
Well, Julio had to come and do this. Because he had to defend his crown. And then, of course, Pete Alonso is coming back because he wants to win a third one. So... And yeah, it's fun that Mookie Betts has decided he wants to be part of it, and why not? He's been hitting home runs well this year, so at a good pace. So that should be fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was his wife who encouraged him to, hey, why don't you do the home run derby? It'll be fun. His mom, I don't think, was on board, but
So I think we need. Was that 5?
I have 6.
One then, I guess.
So we got Mookie, Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman, Vladdy Jr., Julio, and Randy Arozarena.
All right, I just miscounted. I saw all those guys.
Okay.
All right, so that's 6. I think that's it. So we got a full. I think, don't they just do 3 sets of the 2s, or is it 8?
Let me look at the bracket. I saw the bracket come up, and I briefly looked at that. I did see that Ellie De La Cruz was asked if he wanted to do the home run derby, and he declined.
So maybe it's like however many people want to do it, they do it. It's not set at. But I couldn't remember from the past if there was like 4 sets or 3 sets. I think it's like 8 now that I think about it. Either way, it's fun and be interesting to see how it plays out there up in the Kingdom.
Yeah, they had 8. They had 8 last year.
Okay, so maybe
the year before. They had 8, and I think it's usually 8. So we might have 2 more
coming in there at the last
second, kind of figure out if they want to do it or not. We'll see. But yeah, so that's always my favorite part of the whole All-Star experience is that home run derby. One thing that will be interesting is the jerseys for the All-Star game. They have been released, and and the hats as well. So you can go on to our website, SiblingRivalryBB.com, and click on the Fanatics link and get your own All-Star jersey of your favorite player. Now, a lot of people would rather just have, like it used to be, the players just wore their team's jerseys. Now they have color schemes. It's become more so. So, the Mariners, they're going to use they said they're using the Mariners colors. The American League will wear green. The National League's going to wear blue, and they're calling it Mariners green and Seattle blue. But the interesting thing is about this uniform is that the uniforms also are debuting Nike's new uniform fabric, Vapor Premier. And it is 90% recycled polyester yarns, as well as a dry fit technology. And it will be featured in every MLB uniform beginning during the 2024 season. And I guess they tested it on like 300 players, MLB players, and it's going to be more form-fitting. It's supposed to be easier. It's not like the cotton jerseys that George Costanza had for the Yankees. They're not going to shrink.
Talk Buck Showalter into taking.
Oh no, Don Mattingly ripped his pants. Yeah, they're more, I guess they're also cooler. And yeah, so that's the deal. But they have the whole thing is, mountains and sea and, the climate of Seattle.
It's quasi interesting because I saw those. We just gotta accept, and I think most people have, while we liked it when they wore their own uniforms during the game, I don't care if they wear them during warm-ups or during other times, even during the home run derby if they wanted to wear those. But I think that the marketing and merchandising is overrules, and people are going to buy, jerseys, every jersey of their favorite player, no matter what it comes out to. So they're going to take that money and run. I wasn't a huge fan of that, and I'm less of a fan of the hats, more because it's just kind of a gray color.
Yeah, they're not really anything exciting. They kind of have the colors of the jerseys, the green and the blue, are on the hat in like a mountain, what would be kind of a mountain shape if you wanted to go with that.
I thought that was the Kingdom.
Right.
They're going to be.
Yeah. So that's that. But it'll be exciting. We'd see. It would be interesting. And, unfortunately, Mike Trout would be great in the home run derby in Seattle.
Because he owns Seattle when it comes to that.
But we will see Julio Rodriguez in his home his home park. Now, one thing, some people have kind of, yes, with Mookie Betts, like, why are you doing it for the first time in Seattle, like this year? Why didn't you do it in Los Angeles last year? Like,
because it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the.
Didn't occur to me at that
cares?
point, and now it feels like something I want to do.
Yeah, I just,
Eh.
just hanging out.
Now, while it's a big weekend or a big early week up in Seattle for all these all-star players, especially the first-timers and the whole thing, the guys who are participating in the and most of these guys that are participating in the all-star in the home run derby, with the exception of a couple, are all-stars as well.
Yeah.
Julio's not. He's there to defend the title, but it's going to be a bigger weekend for roughly 600 aspiring major leaguers, because you got the draft that starts up on this Sunday, the 9th, and will carry over through the 11th. The first, how does it work there? I think the first rounds are on Sunday, and that's like the first 2 rounds are on Sunday, and then they go 3 to 10 on Monday and 11 to 20 on the 11th. And it's going to be pretty exciting this year, because what we didn't really realize was the 2020 season, the effect of what happened in 2020 is now going to work out to maybe one of the deepest, most talent-rich drafts MLB's ever had. And this isn't, there's never been a real big deal about the draft in baseball. It's kind of just happened, and then you're done, and nobody thinks about it, because none of these guys are going to be. It's not like NBA or NFL where you're, going to draft the best quarterback or draft this guy out of, college. You're not going to draft, I just watched the movie Air. So Michael Jordan isn't you're not going to get a guy like that. I mean, potentially you could, but usually not. You're not going to get somebody who walks over, get you draft, and next year is your start, whatever, and he's an all-star.
Yeah.
And all that. They're not going to have an effect necessarily for a few years to come. Now, this year we saw that could be different, especially just looking at like the Angels. Zach Neto, first one from the 2022 class of all of them to come to the major leagues. We saw Ben Joyce, who obviously isn't been playing because he got injured, but Ben Joyce also last year. Ben Joyce and Zach Neto played each other during the college playoffs when Campbell and Tennessee matched up.
Right.
So we may see more of that happen, but it's still a rarity, and a lot of it depends on where the guy is and what they see after, because usually they get drafted and then they go and play in the Arizona or the Florida instructional leagues or that late season league, and then whatever league Alek Manoah is in, and then they see where are they there, where do we put them, do they move up? So a lot of these guys aren't going to be doing that, but there's some teams this year at the top, because number one, we had our very first draft lottery. And even though the Washington Nationals were the worst team in baseball last year, record-wise, with the draft lottery, the Pirates are in a spot to pick up somebody who can help them continue to get better in the long run, be that guy who can come up in a couple of years when they need to kind of rearrange things and keep it up, because they've been overall, they've dropped off a bit, but the Pirates still have a chance because they play in the right division.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're going to be number one, and then following them with number one in the draft order is the Nationals, followed by the Tigers. The Rangers have number 4. because of last year. The Twins at number 5, the A's at number 6, the Reds at number 7, the Royals at number 8, the Rockies at 9, and the Marlins picked 10th. And then from there, pretty much it goes in order based on winning percentage. The only 2 teams that do not see first round picks are going to be the Dodgers and the Mets. And do you know why?
Well, I don't know, because they don't deserve it. I don't know.
Kind of. I mean, you could look at it that way. They're not there because they exceeded the competitive balance tax threshold.
Right.
By more than $40 million each.
Yeah.
So that takes them out. So they're going to be, they'll be in the second round, but I think they're at number 32 and number 36. The last team to pick in the first round is the Asterisks, since they won it all. The playoff teams, if you're wondering how that was determined as they go down. So we know the first few teams, with the exception of the Pirates, everybody else from there, actually the first 6 teams were by picking through the draft lottery. And then from there, it was winning percentage. And then the playoff teams were based on when they were eliminated from the postseason and then their revenue sharing status. So how much are they getting from everybody else? Are they a needy team? So, there's so you have those. The other thing that comes up here is the Mariners will receive an extra pick at number 29 because of Julio Rodriguez. He won the Rookie of the Year. And remember, there was all this service time manipulation stuff. So players, that's Chris Bryant had a whole lawsuit about that.
That's right. Yeah.
About he would have been eligible to be a free agent a year earlier had they not been playing around with when they brought him up and playing that game. So they tried to put a stop to that. And if they win Rookie of the Year, you get another pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Some names that are coming up. We saw some of these guys' names in pop up a lot during the College World Series, especially a couple of guys from LSU. Going off of Keith Law from The Athletic, I mentioned him, I think, last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, that even people from other, ESPN and CBS Sports and other baseball experts will note things that Keith Law has said.
Yeah, I mean, he's the expert, really, when it comes to, because he does, with these drafts, he looks at all of the prospects. He has like a top 100, and then he breaks it down, and then he does a mock draft 1.0, a mock draft 2.0, and then he has like his 3.0, and then I think he might even do, maybe another one just right before, if anything, he feels like anything's going to change. But yeah, a lot of these guys, if you were watching the games in Omaha, you will know these names.
Just going off of some of the stuff that he did, some of these guys that we've seen, I have to, more or less agree with. There's a toss up between who's going to go number 1 between teammates.
Yes.
Dylan Cruz from LSU and Paul Scanes from LSU. I mentioned Paul Scanes a few times. He, as a pitcher, had gone to Air Force Academy and then transferred out. You can transfer out of a service academy after your sophomore year, and you're not required to fulfill service time, military commitment. If you're out by that time, they give you that option. And once you go into your junior year, then you're committed to a certain amount of time. I mean, even David Robinson, who played basketball for the Navy, had to go out, and at 6'8", it stopped him from doing a lot of jobs, but he did some time. They let him out early, and they could have done that for any of these guys, but probably not. So per Keith Law, he thinks that Paul Scanes is going to head to Pittsburgh. Part of that, I think, is based on a rumor that Dylan Cruz, who's an outfielder, said, I don't want to go to Pittsburgh. Don't draft me.
Yeah. Is that reverse psychology?
It might be. I would look at it now and say, wait, it looks like they're really coming together. They're not the bottom of the pile anymore. And it looks like they're really making these things that they were doing is really working out. Now, I mentioned something and I didn't follow up with it. Because in 2020, two things happened. There was no minor league season, and they cut down within that time frame. They eliminated a bunch of MLB connected affiliated teams. So I think there's only like 5 or 6. So all these players that were going to be coming out of college decided they just stay in college because there's a better chance they were going to play. So now you've got all these guys. You've even got a couple of high schoolers that are within like the top 5 picks. So Paul Scanes, who benefited from LSU winning the title, and one of the hardest throwers that's going to be coming out. He's probably better than maybe throws harder than like Hunter Green, Garrett Cole at that time frame, hitting over 100, but he's got finesse to it. So he's not like Ben Joyce. I'm just trying to throw the fastest pitch ever.
Right.
He's actually a starter and moving on, and has continued to progress over the years. So that means that the Nationals are probably looking at Dylan Cruz. Now, if I'm Dylan Cruz, I'd rather go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, Dylan Cruz, an outfielder, so and great at the plate.
Dylan Cruz was one of those kids that was being looked at and could have potentially been a high school pick. That's how good he was. But he was one of those that when he graduated in 2020. And what was the point of doing that? Go to LSU, because all this stuff, there was no playing at all in 2020 anyway. And so he just decided, I'm not gonna get drafted. So he withdrew from that and ended up at LSU. Speaking of high schoolers, these are projected picks. Any of this can change, but the Tigers at 3rd are projected to take a high schooler. I'm sorry, not a high schooler. Florida kid, one of the outfielders from Florida, Wyatt Langford. Although the Tigers are also considering a catcher that right now has been connected to potentially the Angels, a kid named Kyle Teal. But Langford played well during the World Series for Florida, was part of their push, and could very well end up there. He's also one that was in a good spot to be drafted out of high school and chose to go to college instead. First high schooler, the Rangers are projected to take Max Clark, an outfielder from Indiana. And there's another kid, Walker Jenkins, that could also go high in the draft. And then, from there, Minnesota Twins looking to take a shortstop to eventually take over for Correa, and that would be Jacob Gonzalez. All these guys they don't get this top kind of buzz unless they're really blowing people away at this young level. Like I said, there's like 3 or 4 high school guys that are ranked higher than some of these college guys we saw. So and
I was to say, one of the things that you need to watch for too in the draft is you will have high schoolers that are drafted, but a lot of these guys, you just mentioned Max Clark. He is a Vanderbilt. He's committed to Vanderbilt. That doesn't mean that he's going to go. He may decide to go, go to the MLB, but we'll see. But that's always and I think that's always kind of a gamble too for teams. If they know that they're committed to a school, what are they going to offer them to get them to come to play for them, not forego college.
Right. I was just watching Moneyball was on TV the other day, and that whole process of when Billy Bean is being courted to, it's like he was already going to Stanford or someplace, and then this came up, and it was really about, do you want to go do this, have the education and do this, or do you want to start getting paid? And it's hard to make that decision of, can I get this big signing bonus? And for some kids that could help their family, but it turns out to be the wrong idea. Had they gone to college, it would have been a better experience for them, and they might have gotten to a better spot. They may have grown differently. I mean, they might push a little more for somebody they paid a lot for in a bonus situation, which is a big deal too, because there's bonus slots. If you take Paul Skenes, number one, potentially you could pay him a $9 million plus signing bonus. Joe Kelly mentions in his book that when he got called by the Angels to be drafted, he told him he wanted millions and millions is how he said it.
Right.
And then he ends up dropping down and gets selected by St. Louis for a couple $100,000 is all they offered him in signing. And he realized at that moment that he had messed up. He could have played next to home. Here he is having his 21st birthday just down the street from Anaheim Stadium. And he said, I blew it. A lot of times you want the money right then and there. And like I said, I get it. So there's a lot of talk about that, and how that all works. That's beyond me. I just want to see, the best guys get into the league. I want to see some of these guys. I want to see what Paul Skenes does later on. I want to see Dylan Crew. I want to see what some of these, high schoolers do right off. How fast can they make it up? Are they ready to do that? When I went through Keith Law, he's got the Angels, they're picking number 11, and he's got Chase Dollander. You remember him?
Yeah, from Tennessee.
Yeah. And so they're looking at him as a potential, and that's good. Let's pick up quality arms, unlike a couple of years ago where Perry just picked a pitcher every round, which wasn't necessarily at the time. I think every Angel fan thought, okay, that's not necessarily a bad strategy. My hope is that whoever the Angels pick can have impact at some point down the road as they continue to build or hopefully decide to build a full-on winning team, which they're going to have to do if they can convince Ohtani to stick around, which it's getting less and less likely, I feel, as we go. That aside, though, still talking about the draft, what have you seen what the Dodgers potentially may do when they get to number 36 on draft day?
Yeah, it looks like from all of my resources. No.
Crystal
Johnny
ball.
That's right. And
I
my
looked
8-ball.
at a head of cabbage in my refrigerator.
Johnny.
And the top of Planet Head's head.
That's right. Johnny Farmello, who is an outfielder from Westfield High School in Chantilly, Virginia. He has committed to the University of Virginia, so that obviously will come into play. But he is the one that looks like the Dodgers are kind of maybe it's who they're going to go with. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the picks are like he's based off of these are the way the players kind of fall out, and then we can go. The one thing that I didn't go back and look at, and it plays a lot into this year that I'd never thought about, is it's always been the combine. If I said, oh, they're going to the combine, what's the first thing you think of?
NFL.
Right, automatically, because that's a televised event. Well, this year it was a televised event on MLB channel as well. And there were some guys that really increased their draft odds, as from what I heard, but I didn't really look into that much. I will be looking, so that way I'm ready for draft day, because for some reason this year it's just grabbed me differently. Usually I never thought about it, but maybe it's because I'm watching guys who just got drafted last year come up and get a shot. And in Zeto's, aside from being injured right now, the Angels have a winning record when he's playing. Since he's been out, they have a losing record.
Yeah.
He's having an impact, and that's a good thing. But the combine has helped, but we're going to watch all this happen and see if, the other thing is, I don't think I'd ever want to be the number one draft pick. You remember who the number one draft pick of all time was, right? The very first MLB draft pick.
I do not remember.
Rick Monday was the very first.
Why didn't I
number
think?
one
Yes,
draft pick.
I knew that. I knew that.
And the thing is, Rick Monday was a longtime player, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer. And there's always that thing. Oh, this guy, he's the expectations are so high for a number one draft or a top 5 draft. So Paul Scanes, Dylan Cruz, all those guys that we just talked about, they're really going to be in a spot if they don't come through. And it happens. Look at Kumar Rocker. Now, Kumar Rocker didn't come to be a lot of it because they realized he had that injury, which turned out to him to be, didn't he have Tommy John? Isn't that what?
Yeah.
He's out, and he hadn't made it to the bigs yet. This kid, Johnny Farmello, the Dodgers took you first. Sure, not number one, but you were their first pick of this draft. There's a lot of pressure for a team like the Dodgers. And then on the other side, is this kid like, I grew up hating the Dodgers, or I think the Dodgers would be a great team, a great organization to be part of based on history.
Right.
I mean, if my choice is that or to go to, the Washington Nationals or the Oakland A's, maybe the Oakland A's I'm okay with because I might make it to the bigs quick.
That's true. Yeah, I think there's always expectation, obviously, when you're number one, because everybody's watching you. Because that's who you remember. You remember the first, who was first. You don't remember who's 36th or 40th or whatever.
Mookie Betts was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, you don't even remember. Yeah, what round? You did the first round. And you might remember the top 5, maybe top 10.
Right. If that, and if they don't make it up, you don't even remember that at all. You can look at some draft classes that were pretty heavy. And I know there's been comparisons here with some drafts where a lot of guys who are playing that came out. I'm trying to remember who else. Garrett Cole's the only name that picked that, that stayed with me from that article. But there were a lot of guys who are in the league now. And that's rarely going to happen, that they go on and become all-stars.
Mm-hmm.
So all-star weekend, all-star early week, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a weekend. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the break. Some teams will be off Thursday as well, come back and start over again on Friday. My hope is, we know that, I don't know if you watched any of the prospects game last year. That's on Sunday. You get to see some minor leaguers that are picked from around the league. That one was pretty good, and a couple of those guys are in the bigs now. Corbin Carroll and a few other guys that are up doing well. And then, of course, the home run derby is always fun. The question is, will the All-Star game be exciting?
Yeah, the last few years it has not been. It's like very boring, ho-hum.
I believe if you want to go back to last year's, to last season, you'll see our episode about the All-Star game. It is titled Yawn Star Game, and it is available on your favorite listening platform. The Angels are like watching a mystery movie. Are they going to do really well, or are they going to fall apart? What's going to happen? And are there clues along the way you can pick up as to where this is going to go? Playing great for a while, and then last week they had issues. They come into this last week, the week before they had issues. They come into this next week. They've got the White Sox, which really you don't know how that's going to go, because the White Sox sometimes they've got some big names and some great players on that team, but they're underachieving this year completely. Some due to some issues with injuries, some just bad pitching, but a lot of guys like Tim Anderson, unfortunately, are not playing up to where they were before. So we don't know what we're going to get. We're doing the Forrest Gump thing. Not sure what we're going to get. And then, of course, we get the Diamondbacks, who what do we call them? Because you had the amazing Mets back in 1969. What are the Diamondbacks? Because the Diamondbacks are completely out of nowhere. It feels like you already got them finishing last or next to last with the Rocks, and instead, and it wasn't a fluke at the beginning of the season where they took off and they won a bunch of games and then they settled in and fell back. They have continued to be one of the biggest stories, one of the biggest surprises, and leading the NL West, easily leading the NL West.
Yeah.
So we got that we have to work through this time around with the Angels upcoming week there. So we'll get to that. The Angels finished the week with a 45-41 record. They're a game behind Toronto for the wild card and a total of 3 out of the wild card. They're 6 games out of first place behind Texas and Houston. We could just say behind Texas in general.
Yeah, just
it's all
in general.
Anyway, I got to say this. The first game out, I got to mention this. Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease looks like he should be in like the 20s. He's got his mustache, his look, because the way his hair is cut. And I see him like an old barber or something. He's got the shirt on. He's got the garter up on his remember the I don't know if you remember this. It used to be an ice cream place called Farrell's.
Yeah.
And they all dress like that in that late 1800s through 20s kind of look. And he's got that kind of look. You could put him in that. He could look like Herbert Hoover or Calvin Coolidge with those suits and then his little and he just looks like he could be from that era. Anyway, he comes out, and Dylan Cease, I think, is a Cy Young candidate. He's probably not a strong Cy Young candidate because of who's in front of him, but he's throwing. Reed Detmers is out there, and they start off the series with him. All-star Luis Robert Jr. with a home run in the first game, and the Angels walk away with a 2-1 win, and that was thanks to 2 things: Shohei hitting number 26, and then Mike Trout, who struck out 3 times, scored a run on a walk-off pitch, or a wild pitch, a walk-off wild pitch.
Right.
So 2-1, they win that. Now here's the thing with this. You start off, that's a good start, right? This is a 4-game set.
Yeah.
So win the first 3, you win the series.
Yeah, you should feel good about winning that first. You always hear guys say, yeah, winning the first game of the series is important.
Right.
But it, like you said, it's a mystery on how it's going to end. One of the, I think, worst names, and he's a pitcher, relief pitcher. His last name's Bummer. I mean, that's like,
right, Aaron.
You know what? It's not like Boomay. It's it's Bummer. Like, oh Bummer. Man, here comes Bummer. Like, it's such a bummer.
Oh man, I gave up I blew the save. Bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who was pitching, actually.
That's exactly right.
The White Sox come into Anaheim having just won a series with the Red Sox. You're not sure if that's going to continue to play on. And after game 2, not only did they have to deal with Shohei on the mound, they had to deal with him at the plate too, and another Shohei is everything game. Shohei right now, if everybody was projecting he's going to get a contract worth 500, 600 million, around 50 million to 60 million, right now he's shooting for about 800, 900, maybe even $1 billion a year, the way that he's going.
Imagine. I know he was the last American League player before Shohei to hit at least 2 home runs and strike out at least 10 was Cleveland's Pedro Ramos on July 31st, 1963. And that came in a nightcap of a doubleheader against the Angels.
Right, of course. Of course. So anyway, Shohei strikes out 10, goes 6 1/3, and then hits 2 home runs and goes 3 for 3.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yes. And a guy that I want to talk about when we get to the end here a little bit, Carlos Estevez picks up his 20th in 20 tries when it comes to saves. Only gave up 1 run in that. Interestingly enough, a guy that every time I see him play, with the exception of this game, he strikes out. And that would be Moustakas. Moose, getting calls of Moose around the stadium when he hit a home run. But for the most part, he just strikes out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in this game, he was 2 for 4. Yeah, in Estevez, you mentioned Estevez, and that, I think, is probably one of the biggest snubs.
Absolutely.
All-star.
And we'll talk about that in a second. So going into the last half of this series, the Angels roll out 2 pitchers who have been struggling. Jaime Barria in one, Patrick Sandoval in the other. Barria's had a couple of high spots. Sandoval's pretty much had one hot spot. I think we talked about that last week where he went 7 innings, had a great game. But overall, he is our Noah Syndergaard right now.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a toss-up between him and Tyler Anderson. But I think it's him. I think it's Sandoval. Right now, Suarez had that before.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Right.
He's on the IL. So.
Barria, he was making his first start in 2 weeks. So that right there kind of tells you how his season's gone.
Yeah, he did. Now he did pitch a couple times in relief.
Right.
During that time frame, but I've liked him a lot more out of the bullpen. They're going up against a guy who knows what it's like to be a bad pitcher, because just a few years ago he was the worst pitcher statistically in all of Major League Baseball in Lucas Giolito, and he turned it around, struck out 9 over 7 innings. The Moose, just talking about him, 3 strikeouts in that game, 0 for 3. Who did get some hits in this game for the Angels? By the way, they lost 11.
They did, but Brandon Drury
with a home run and a solo home run, but drove in 3 runs, back-to-back triples instead of home runs this time. Back-to-back triples by Shohei and Mike Trout. They don't really get them back in. Or take advantage of it. They did get Trout in on that, but I don't think Shohei scored off of that. They left him on base. But Shohei 3 for 5 with that triple, but they just couldn't do anything. And Sandoval, Barria on that one gives up 5 runs, 3 home runs to Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and then there were 2 home runs hit by Sebi Zavala. So it just, once again, don't know what's going on. But there's still a chance for them to win the series.
Yeah, it's not over.
Yeah, and they actually put themselves in a good position early on. Last time that the Angels faced Lance Lynn in Chicago, they teed off on him. They just beat him into the ground. Home runs, home run, home run. And it looked like we were going to start that way too. Mickey Moniak with a leadoff home run. Shohei had a home run in that game. Mike Trout 3 for 5. Hunter Renfroe, home run. Even Moose had a home run.
Yeah.
So pretty incredible. But in the end of everything, Patrick Sandoval only goes 5 innings, gives up 8 hits, 7 runs, but did strike out 8. Got to give him that. He struck out 8, but he gets the L as they just couldn't do anything. They bring in Kendall Graveman to close it out, and the Angels lose this one 9-7, and that's a wrap on that series. The first couple games, actually, when we look at all these games, there's only one really bright spot, true bright spot in all of those games. And that is, I don't know how much longer he's going to be an Angel, how many more games we got. I don't think they're going to trade him at the trade deadline.
I don't think so either.
Miss out. I think we're just going to end up losing. I mean, they'll give him a qualifying offer so we can get a draft pick out of it or something. But Shohei is the only hot spot out of all of that.
That's it.
And that brought us back. 2 things happened. The Diamondbacks came to the Big A, and Anthony Rendon came back to the Big A.
Which one was better?
I don't know. I always think about in the movie Stripes, they get to Germany, they're in their barracks, and then Sergeant Hulka comes back after he'd been blown up in training, and he shows up and Bill Murray looks at Harold Ramis and goes, "It is alive." And that's kind of how I feel about Anthony Rendon. So anyway, he's back, and the Angels taking on, as we've been talking about, the National League West leading Arizona Diamondbacks. They come in having just lost a series to Tampa Bay, which that's not unusual. And that's only the 3 games they ever have to face them this season.
Right.
So it's not really that huge of a deal. They're still leading by a good margin, so they're not too worried about it. And then they got to play the Angels, so they're not real sure where they're going to be there. Sure, Angels have a winning record, but the Angels, we don't know how they'd be doing against Tampa Bay right now. They haven't played Tampa Bay yet that I remember. Anyway, so they come in. Now, here's the thing that I want to talk about. They end up losing the series. They don't get swept. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
But they end up losing the series. But I want to talk about this game for game 1 just for one reason. Griffin Canning's on the mound. And I read a couple of articles, one out of the Orange County Register, and I don't remember the other one. It was probably the same, grab from the same article because these news groups are all over the place. But basically it said Canning ruins Shohei's day or something like that. And I have to argue back against that. Griffin Canning's first 2 innings of this game were abysmal.
Yeah.
Gives up. I mean, really, the winning thing was Lourdes Gurriel Jr. grand slam. He takes that out, and there was no looking back at that point. But after the grand slam, Canning sets down the next 13 batters in a row. How does that have any? Yes, they lost 6-2, but how does that? Shohei hit 1 home run, drove in 2 runs. He hit the home run after they were already losing.
Yeah.
How does he ruin that? Nobody else did anything. Trout was 2 for 4. Trout had been warming back up, looking better, had been hitting over 300 over the last week or 2. So there was a lot more going on. A lot of pitchers have a bad first couple of innings, but nobody did anything from there to help overcome that. Their offense was 2 guys.
Right.
And that's been part of the problem. It's been Shohei and not even Mike Trout, Shohei, Brandon Drury. Brandon Drury's out. Maybe Hunter Renfroe. You know, the guys who were doing it, Zach Neto out, Urshela out. You know, where
yeah,
do we go from here?
I think that's just an easy headline to put because you think, oh, they lost the game and he did these amazing things. But when you look at the box score at the middle, Rendon, Moustakas, Renfroe, Escobar, 0 for 3 and then 0 for 4 the rest. So it can't just be on Griffin Canning.
No,
the offense.
He had a bad couple of innings, sure, but he picked it up, recovered, and showed what he's made of.
Yeah.
And they could have gone on and scored 100 runs if he doesn't figure out, oh, I need to pitch differently.
Yeah, I mean, what hurt them obviously was those 4 walks. He gave up 4 walks and one happened to be, and then a grand slam.
Right. I mean, that doesn't help.
No.
But it's not unrecoverable when you still have 7 more innings of baseball to play.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, the rest of it is that the next game they lose as well, 3-1. Tyler Anderson does look okay in this one, doesn't give up a run, only 5 hits over 5 innings. It's Sam Bachman, who's actually looked pretty good overall, who ends up giving up 2 of the 3. Chris Davinsky, another one who has been pretty solid, gives up the other one. And they end up losing that one. And that goes to the sole game that they do win to avoid getting swept. Reed Detmers strikes out 9 over 6 innings, only gives up 2 runs. One of those, a home run to Carson Kelly. It was a good day for home run wise for the Angels, especially since they were going up against Cy Young candidate for the National League, Zach Gallen, who, despite giving up 4 runs and 5 hits over 7 innings, struck out 12 Angels along the way. So he lost out on the home run ball. Mickey Moniak with a 3-run shot. Trout and Shohei both with solo shots, and they're able to stop the Diamondbacks that day, hold them at 2 runs, score 5 of their own, and then Carlos Estevez does what he does and save opportunities. He converts it, 21 for 21.
21 for 21. Wow.
So they walk out of this not in a great spot. They go 3 for 4. They're still playing over 500. They're out of, like I said, they're out of the, they're like 3 games out of the wild card. They got to get through Toronto to get there, but so much can change after the All-Star game. So many people, they come back from that little break, and it's like, when you've been working hard, like you're out in the yard or you do something that's very physical, and then when you stop, you sit down, you can't really get up again.
Right. You don't want to get up.
Tired, your body, everything kind of just slows down and goes out. Any muscle pains or anything. And as you get older, it gets worse. I think that kind of happens to players, especially if they're not part of the All-Star weekend or the All-Star week, that they're not there. They can go off and spend 2 or 3 days at the beach, or they go home and hang out or whatever. As we know what happened last All-Star break when all the Dodgers went home. Everybody was out on paternity leave at the same time.
With the Angels, Reed Detmers has really, he's 2 for 5. His record is 2 for 5, but I don't think it reflects what he's really been doing on the mound, because he's looked better, obviously, in his last 2 starts because he won those starts. But he is, he struck out at least 8. He allowed 2 or fewer runs in this game, and he's the first Angels pitcher to do that since Nolan Ryan in 1972-73. So he's coming around. I mean, you see these flashes of brilliance on the mound. And if he can just continue with it, I think a lot of it is confidence. And but I think when you look at his record right now, because especially with pitchers, it doesn't always reflect what they're actually doing on the mound. And so I think Reed Detmers, at least in his last 2 starts, deserves a lot more credit than maybe he's getting.
Yeah, definitely. Because you figure between those 2 starts, he was 19 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, my concern is think about last season, Jaime Barria, Patrick Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
They were both on top of it.
Yeah.
And look where they are this year.
Well, yeah, and that's you hope that he doesn't,
Suarez, another one.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope is, like you're saying, these 2 guys, Detmers and Canning, are kind of in that same spot. This is their breakouts. We saw potential, but this is the breakout year. What happens next year? How many seasons did it take Sandoval before he finally got to that good year? A couple seasons.
Yeah.
These guys have been a couple of seasons. I saw a tweet the other day. Some guy said, why does Matt Wise come out? What does he do? What is his purpose?
Right.
He goes out to talk to him on the mound. What does he say? Nothing's ever better after he comes out.
Yeah. You wonder what do they say? Because sometimes you see the guys come out and they say they had walked the previous batter. And then the pitching coach comes on the mound. And then after that, they either get the guy to ground out, fly out, or they strike him out.
Right.
You're like, okay, whatever he said was good.
Right.
So
comes out, checks
what
in,
is
does a
why
pulse check.
saying, like, hey, I've got a dinner reservation. My wife wants to go see this movie. Come on, let's wrap this up.
Hey, there's a Barry Manilow concert tonight.
That's
and I really
right.
want to go.
Right.
And, it's just over here at the pond.
And if you can give up a few more home runs, no.
If you could just get this going, because I need to go home and I need to shower, and I'm going to meet her there because I just got to get across from here over to, it's whatever they call it now. It's not the pond anymore, Honda Center, where the Ducks play. And we're like, hey, I got to go to this concert.
No,
over
I
there.
always wonder what they say, because sometimes obviously they say something and it turns it around.
The other stupid thing I heard, and I didn't see specifically said it, but I can believe he said it, is Phil Nevin is attributed to this particular quote is, we don't chase wins every night. Now,
why wouldn't you?
That's what I'm wondering. And you guys are in a must-win situation. You have to win every night.
Yeah, your margin of error is very small. I mean, the Angels, they're either a wild card or they're not.
A wild card, and maybe Ohtani-less next season,
right?
Or completely Ohtani-less next season.
And
that's your 2 choices.
That's it. You should be chasing wins every night.
Every night is a must win.
Yeah, it's you
don't have any other choice.
Who had the was it NBC? Must see TV. Mm-hmm. It's must see wins.
Must win baseball games. And with that, let's talk a little bit about Carlos Estevez. You alluded to him being snubbed. Does not make the All-Star team. Might make it now that they're going to have open spots probably here. But how does he not make it, at least as a reserve, or as in that? Because you don't vote for pitchers. How does he not make it?
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that the reason he doesn't make it, and if you're looking especially like players who overshadows, and it's not in a bad way, I'm not saying it over in a bad way, but everybody, it's Shohei Ohtani. It's, if you're looking the next morning, the first thing that you see is, oh, he hit another one, it's another home run, he did this, he did that. And so a player like Estevez, who is doing great things on the mound, obviously 21 saves, people don't pay attention to that.
But the pitchers aren't picked by fans.
No.
And players who have seen him, a lot of the stuff is reserves, and I don't know how the pitchers do have to look at that, if that's a commissioner thing, if that's a manager thing. So is Dusty Baker, who's a manager, is he seeing that?
I don't think the managers have any say anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe now, that they're going to be moving people around. I don't know. You're right. I don't know if they do, but Estevez. So Emmanuel Class A, not a bad. I mean, he's last year's reliever of the year. He's been great. He was but he's got 6 blown saves. If you need one player from every team, they have Jose Ramirez. You didn't need Emmanuel Class A. And Emmanuel Class A does not prove to be better than Carlos Estevez.
Well, and it could come down to, for some of the players, if they're doing this ballot, it could be down to name recognition again for just, I know who he is. I'll just do that.
Well, that could be, but I
mean, you would hope
he may
not.
Still make it. I don't know how that information works in the player circles, but the big office up there has to know. And why does Class A, if you're looking at numbers and you're looking at that, why would you pick him instead of looking at Estevez, who's clearly a better choice? Yeah. So that's the one I was upset about. The other one that could be questionable that he didn't get in. It wouldn't really matter because he's injured right now, but Brandon Drury, I think, had a good case to be an all-star and could still be named one, depending on how things play out. But he could have. I'm less about that one. Estevez, I think, really got snubbed.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one.
So the Angels get to play the Padres down at Petco, and then come up for a 2-game set at the Ravine versus the Dodgers. They only play 2, so they have the Sunday before All-Star Week off for a little extended, like a 5-day time off, which also will apply to the Dodgers. And we'll talk about them in a second. You got the All-Star game, and then they're going to be out on the road after that with Houston and Pittsburgh. Let's take a look this week at our Player of the Week.
This one, hey, I think it's Shohei.
I tried not to.
I know, I did too. But when you go back through,
who else?
Who else could you choose?
There's guys that come in and do a little bit, but he carried the load. I wonder though, because he's seen a little extra fatigue this year, is he going to be able to keep up this pace for the rest of the season?
Yeah, we will see.
Now I did consider Mike Trout, because Mike Trout did have an overall good week, 318, double, triple, home run, couple of RBIs. Here's what stopped me. He only walked twice. Out of 22 at bats, he struck out 11 times. That's a 50% strikeout rate.
Yeah.
And there's guys who have more, but he strikes out in bad times. So we talked about it. I think it was last week when we were talking about them playing the Dodgers in the first part of the thing, that last swing he gave, he wasn't the last out. He was the second out of that last inning. That just like he just kind of, I don't care. It really had nothing into it. The pitch was way outside. His eye has been gone. And you know who he reminds me of right now? Remember how dominant Mike Tyson was for all those years?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And then he got involved with Robin Givens, who was the actress, was on Head of the Class, I think was the show she was.
Yeah.
And her mom. And all of a sudden, he was so distracted by whatever and the drama that was constantly going on with his wife. I don't think that he's got that. I think he's got the perfect little life at home. He and his wife are great, but he's got the kid. Father's Day, they were talking to him, and they were like, asked him if he had anything else to say, and he did the standard, cliche of Happy Father's Day to my dad and anybody, all the other dads out there. And I can't wait to get home to my little one. I wonder if that's his distraction.
It could be, but also he's got this golf course that he's building
could be it too.
And when I heard that, and oh, he's building this golf course. I don't know how involved he is, if it's really just his name there.
His name and his money.
Yeah. So maybe he is more involved than we know. But yeah, I mean, I think the same could be said. Obviously, he is not at the same level as Trout, but I think the same could be said for Max Muncy.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Yeah, Max, and I think we need to address a couple of people on the Dodgers, in the Dodgers lineup.
Yes.
That maybe don't need to be in the Dodgers lineup.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so we should just start there with just addressing the Dodgers lineup instead of going through these games. I mean, I think the most exciting thing for the Dodgers this week was they were in Denver and they were under a tornado watch. I think that is...
It wasn't even the tornado watch. It was the hail that fell before game time, a couple hours before
well, that
game time,
too.
That made it look like it had snowed.
Yeah, in the dugout, up to the doors, in the dugout leading to the clubhouse, there was hail up to the handles. But that was the last game. We'll look at these first two games. Dodgers do win. I mean, they come out of this in Colorado with the series win.
All right. I thought you just wanted to talk about their lineup, not about the games.
No, well, I'm going to do that real quick.
Kind of mix it in.
Mix it in, because I think it's important here. So they win the first game, 5-0. It's Kershaw Day. Thing is, Kershaw, he had a no-hitter through 6 innings. And he only threw 79 pitches, but he came out of the, Doc came out to talk to him, to get him, and he was like, I'm done. And we know where that has led. JD Martinez did hit his 299th and his 300th home run of his career as the Dodgers go on to beat the Rockies. This next game is really a tough one, I think, because it's the Dodger lineup. We have no rotation. Our rotation really is Kershaw, who has really, and no pun intended, shouldered the load. And he, we had Michael Grove come in. He didn't look bad. He went 5 innings, but then, Victor Gonzalez comes in, loads the bases. And it just, from there, it just kind of, anytime you have Michael Grove on the mound, you're kind of like, where is this game going to go? I don't know.
It's a toss up, but he wasn't, and like you said, he wasn't so much the problem. It was the bullpen,
right?
Because Grove gave you what he almost always gives you.
Yes.
But Gonzalez, in just the 3rd inning pitch, ends up giving up 3 runs. He didn't. They were charged to him because Nick Robertson comes in and ends up actually giving up 5 runs because all 3 inherited runners score, and then he gave up 2 of his own.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so the Dodgers lose this game 9-8. The Rockies had a 5-run 6th inning rally. Their shortstop, Ezekiel Tovar, he hit a 3-run double to help in that rally. And so, but again, you think they're playing the Rockies, but it seems like the Dodgers struggle with teams that aren't that great and teams that are good. I don't know. They're just kind of everywhere. And they scored twice in the 8th, but then JD Martinez comes up and the bases are loaded and he ends the inning. And then this last game.
That's the thing, is like, because of how he's played, you're like, okay, things happen.
Yeah.
It used to be that way with, like, going back to the Angels, Mike Trout. He came up. It was rare that it happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he's become like almost an easy out there. JD, based on this, he's had enough times where he's hit the ball well and kept things going, or put the Dodgers back on top, or extended a lead So, at least in that case, it wasn't like, oh, shoot, here we go again with this.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's just the way it was. But, if you're talking about Max Muncy in particular, in this game 1, he was 0 for 3. He didn't start in game 2, but he did come up as a pinch hitter and was 0 for 1. I mean, he didn't do anything. Miguel Vargas, he's another one. He's very hit and miss. He hasn't been in the lineup. They kind of pulled him from the lineup to give him kind of a break, I think a mental reset. I also think that he has a lot of pressure, or he maybe puts a lot of pressure on himself because of who, his dad was a Cuban player, very well known, in Cuban baseball. And I think he feels that pressure because a lot of times he looks lost. You're not sure. And then the next time, he gets a triple and you're like, oh, okay. And he's a mystery to me. And then Outman, first game, 2 for 4, but then in the second game, he's 0 for 5.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those, one of those things.
Well, it's not, and here's the thing with that it's come down to, generally it's the pitching staff.
Yeah, in most of all of the games, they
scored 8 runs in that second game. It's not like that they didn't score anything.
No,
it's just Mookie was great. Yanni Hernandez, who's had a couple of good games.
Mm-hmm.
Freeman and Peralta, those guys have been pretty consistent. So it's when you come down to it, it's one side of the pitching staff or the other. It's either the starter who's just horrendous or the bullpen is horrendous. Sometimes both at the same time.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what a big problem is. Now, the next night you figure the Rockies had to be flying high, kind of.
Well,
they won a series right before this versus the Angels. The problem is that in that they had a negative run differential versus the Angels, yet they won the series 2-3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for Dodger fans, when you look at the Rockies and where they've been in the West, their standing, you always assume that the Dodgers are always going to beat them. And that's not always the case. They've had a lot of call-ups from Albuquerque because of injuries. I think Chris Bryant is back, but, is he really going to make that much of a difference? Charlie Blackmon's out of the lineup. There's a lot of different things going on there. But they have these young players that are coming in, getting a shot in the majors, and then, they get that double or triple or whatever they need to keep going. The last game was the wild weather game. I mean, it was crazy. Like I said, Denver was under a tornado watch. They had rain. They had the hail. The groundskeepers, I think, really, if you're going to give a player of the week or players of this series, it would be the groundskeepers at Denver.
Well, they talked to Jason Hayward after the game about how it was playing out there because he was there and right. And he said he had to really give it to them because they really cleaned up the field well, that, it wasn't as bad as they anticipated it could be.
Yeah.
And so he called them out for kudos on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of hail, and they had to get all of that hail off the field. And so the tarp is covered, obviously the infield, but it doesn't cover the outfield. So they had blowers on their back to blow it. They had tractors, they had squeegees, they had shovels. They had everything because they didn't want to not play this game because the Rockies don't see the Dodgers again until I think August, or September. I'd have to look at the schedule, but I think they have a double header in there. And so then they'd have to play like 5 games. And it would just be, it would be kind of crazy. So, a delay of an hour and 50 minutes doesn't hurt the Dodgers. They end up winning this game 14-3. JD Martinez, one we've mentioned, he had 4 hits in this game. He had his 19th home run of the season. The Dodgers
4 RBIs.
They had a 6-run 4th inning. And, they just came out and just, extended, Martinez did. He extended his hitting streak to 11 games at Coors Field. You have to think he probably didn't play that much at Coors as a Red Sox. He's a career 444 hitter there. Max Muncy did have a hit in this game. But, again, it's just kind of where is Max? He actually had
two hits and 3 RBIs in this game.
That's true. And okay, so that's the anomaly.
No, it is the exception to his rule.
0-3, 0-for-3, pinch hit, 0-for-1, and then he has a game like this, and you're like, oh, Max is back.
Everybody had a game like that, though. It was like the Angels game just the week before, where everybody was hitting. It was 14 runs.
Yeah, the only guy not hitting, and he hasn't been, is Cuz. He was 0-for-5 in this game. But yeah, I mean, so it wasn't. So
they walk away, like you said, with the series win. Elias Diaz was the one that drove in all 3 runs for All-Star Elias Diaz.
Yes, that's how you
drove in all 3 runs for them. Freddie and Max both had 3 RBIs apiece. So multi-hit games from Mookie and Jason Hayward.
Yep.
So, I mean, overall, it was not an impressive looking series. The Dodgers win 2. They go to Kansas City from there. They go into see them. Kansas City coming off of a series loss to Cleveland, which was right after they split a pair. I mean, they split between them and Tampa Bay. So they had a better series against Tampa Bay than they did against Cleveland. So you figure this is a good stop too. Colorado, then Kansas City might help you build up more of your confidence, especially after a 14-3 game. Maybe some guys will get back on. Max will get back on track, but I don't think so.
No, I think they would rather just forget Kansas City. I mean, the first game they won.
Maybe they ate too much barbecue.
It might. That is true. Maybe they could.
They went over and hung out at the Jazz Museum, and now they think there's some cool cats, and they just.
I don't know. It just was disappointing, this series. Other than Mookie Betts, who had, he 4-for-4 night, 2 walks to match his career best. He reached base 6 times. He drove in 4 runs, but that's what you expect, right? You expect the Dodgers to come in and do those type of things. Jason Hayward, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. That's,
honestly, when I think of this series, there's not a Dodger name other than the first game with Mookie. There's not a Dodger name that comes into my head. The 2 names that pop into my head when I think about this series, Michael Garcia and Brady Singer.
Yeah.
Both from the Royals. Michael Garcia just pounded them all series long. 3 hits in the first game, couple hits in the second game. The third game, he had a couple of RBIs. He was just all over the Dodgers. They couldn't stop him. And then Brady Singer could.
Yeah, and he pitched in that last game. We did see Daniel Hudson come back. He did come back after he made his first appearance since tearing his ACL in his left knee, which was just more than a year ago. He actually did look good. He gave up a single, but then he had, got the 2 strikeouts and, was able to get out of the inning. So it was good because you're like, okay, fresh arm out of the bullpen. They win this game. Game 2, the Dodgers just couldn't do anything. Julio Urias is back. So you're like, all right, we got Julio back. Everything you've been reading, I think I figured out my mechanics. I think I figured out what I've been doing, what I've been doing. He hadn't figured out what he's been doing, because he looked exactly the same before when he wasn't on the IL, he looks at, he could not. I mean, the Royals scored 5 times in the first inning, and he couldn't do anything. I mean, and no outs. That was the thing. It wasn't like they had 2 outs and they scored the 5 runs. They just no outs and scored these 5 runs.
Right.
Daniel Lynch pitching for the Royals, he gave up the 3 runs in the second, but that was it. I mean, he settled down. He threw 108 pitches, and the Royals beat the Dodgers. It wasn't until, the Dodgers left the bases loaded in the 8th. Yanni Hernandez struck out, Freddie Freeman grounded out, and then Scott Barlow, their closer, got the final 4 outs for his 10th save. And
so you're looking for a bounce back game to wrap everything up.
And it didn't happen.
And then you get Tony Gonsolin on the mound, who has last season, or at least for the first half of the season, was pretty solid. You would expect a good outing. This time, he didn't make it past the 3rd or the 4th.
Yeah, no, he only pitched 3 2/3 innings. He allowed 4 runs, 6 hits. He's now allowed 15 runs over his last 14 and a third innings. He just doesn't look good on the mound. And the guy who did look good on the mound, when you look at his record, this is another guy, they're very similar lines when you look at Tony Gonsolin and Brady Singer. But Brady Singer, who is 5-7, he allowed 1 run on 3 hits and 4 walks over 7 innings. So much better. And he got to 7 innings. I mean, Tony Gonsolin hasn't even pitched 7 innings this season. So it's like, what is happening that the Dodgers go into Kansas City? And I don't think you can always just discount a team because they're in last place. But the majority of the time, when you have a team like the Dodgers and the people who are on their roster, they should be winning these games. And they didn't. And a lot of the stuff was they weren't playing, and this is what Dave Roberts said, the Royals played small ball against them. They used every opportunity that they could to get the hits and to run those bases, steal bases, because the Dodgers have terrible, they can, they can't get the guys out. They're too late. I don't know how many steals teams have off of them, but that is a weakness that the Dodgers have to work on. And there was a couple of times even at the plate, Will Smith was the catcher and he was off the plate. So, because that's where the throw came in. And then of course, Salvador Perez sliding into home to score a run. Even though, you had a throw from David Peralta, you think a throw from Mookie Betts, but if it's offline, it makes it hard for Will Smith to get those guys out. So I think in the league, in all across baseball, that's one thing that all of the teams seem to be exploiting when they play the Dodgers is the running game, that they can get their running game going. And that will always make a difference. If you can get the guy who gets to first, if you can get him to second, you're more likely to score a run. I know that seems obvious, but that's what teams are doing against the Dodgers.
Well, I mean, I would too, if that was something that I knew I could get away with and, and be successful at. Why not? Right.
I mean, it totally makes sense to do that. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? The Royals, Daniel Lynch won Saturday night. Brady Singer won Sunday. The Royals have back-to-back wins by starters for the first time in 93 games. Just to tell you how their season has been going. But it's disappointing for the Dodgers. But again, it all, I think, really comes back to we don't have a good rotation. We have Kershaw at this point. And right now we don't have him at all.
Right.
Urias is, what are you going to get on the mound? Is it going to be like he was in Kansas City? Was it just rust? What was it? Tony Gonsolin has shown that he, at this point, shouldn't be in the rotation, I don't think. And then you have Syndergaard, who's nowhere to be found. He's probably at some, Zen retreat trying to figure out, who he is. And then, we lost Dustin May, and we don't have Walker Buehler. Dustin May, I don't know, what the timetable is for him. I know Walker Buehler wants to come back and pitch, kind of do, he's hoping to maybe come back this season. I don't know if that will happen. He's working on it, but
right.
It's just, but then again, it goes to the lineup. When you look at the lineup, and as much as I'm a fan of Max Muncy, I don't, it's so hit and miss with him. And then he was 0 for 4 in this last, the last game. Outman, who came out blazing, and he's hit and miss too, great defensively. It's almost as if he has taken the defense of being the center fielder, and Cody Bellinger, that ghost is haunting him. And hopefully, he doesn't have the same clubhouse locker room and
right.
or locker is what I mean. He didn't have Bellinger's locker.
Right. Hopefully not, because that may be the issues. Yeah, Max he's been hitting under 200 most of the year. And he picked it up and was up about 250 for a little bit, but he's only batting around 189 now. Vargas 199, Austin Barnes. I love Cuz, but you need a designated hitter for him.
Yeah. I don't know what is, he will get, like, maybe he gets a single and, somebody's on, and so he gets an RBI.
Well, in the last game,
very few.
He was 1 for 4, but he's still only batting 108.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but then you have these guys. Now, normally, Smith he'll work walks, he'll do things, but in the second game, he was 0 for 5. And then,
right.
I don't know. It just seems like the Dodgers are off kilter. There's not a good balance for their pitching rotation, which is non-existent. The bullpen, I think with the addition of Daniel Hudson, who is a veteran, I think you're going to see some shifting there, because you have Evan Phillips and you have Daniel Hudson, who I think are more eighth inning, ninth inning pitchers, where would move up Caleb Ferguson, move up some of those other guys. Victor Gonzalez has not looked good. I think he's been optioned to Oklahoma City, the last I read. And even in the lineup, which is pretty solid, you have Mookie, you have Freddie, but there's some nights where they don't do anything, but then the bottom of the lineup picks it up, or the middle of the lineup. But there has to be consistency, and I just don't feel like the Dodgers have consistency this year. There's something off kilter.
There's been a lot of issues, and I think it all hits from more than the offense. The offense have had down nights, but they're still averaging one of the highest amount of runs per game. Yeah. So you can usually get what you need out of the offense every night. They're going to support you, but the pitching staff is what normally. I mean, look at it. Emmett Sheehan, in his first outing, pitched 6 innings of no-hit baseball, and then they end up losing the game thanks to the bullpen.
Right. Yeah.
So I just think that that's where it's all at. I don't know what it costs them to get the pitchers that they need, and what pitchers do you really go after? That's a bigger thing too, because who's going to sell right now when there's so many teams that are kind of in the mix.
Right.
And some may think we're close enough. We should stay in this and see what we can get to do it, or stand pat. Who knows?
Yeah.
So what's really going to happen?
Yeah, I think that's a big question for the Dodgers. What is Andrew Friedman going to do before the trade deadline? And is it going to be something that will help the Dodgers in the long run, or will it just be, somebody that they get and then they end up being a bust anyway? I don't know. I think the Dodgers, they're in a position where they could grab one of those wild card spots. But what are they going to do with it if they get it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's...
Well, I guess that part we'll see, but they gotta, I've always appreciated the ideas that they have of every game is just a game. We're not going to hold on to losses. We're not going to hold on to wins. We're just going to keep trying to win, every month. But at some point, there also has to come a little bit of urgency. And at some point, maybe there's nobody that they have to take over for Max Muncy at third. Maybe there's nobody that they have to, look after. There's just certain guys. It's like, bring somebody up, see what they can do, set Max down. If Max isn't going to start hitting, it's time to let him go.
Yeah.
Maybe try to trade him back to Oakland. I don't know for what, but, do something with it, because these guys are just not. And honestly, I think it's time to release Cuz.
Yeah, he's just, it's unfortunate, but he's more of becoming more of a coach, like a position planner.
Yeah.
Because, he works with the pitchers and he works with Will Smith for game planning. So if that's something, if he's better at that, then put him in that position. And
he could be like the backup with the clipboard on the sidelines at a football game. He could be the third string quarterback or whatever, because there's got catchers. I don't know where Kurtaya is in his development, but you've got a couple of catchers down there that you could bring up. And at this point, it almost feels like you kind of let Keeper Ruiz go because Cuz was okay. He's not, he had more moments before, but he doesn't have them now. It's time to let him go.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Dodgers will end up this first part of the season before the break on a winning note. They've got Pittsburgh coming in for the 4th of July timeframe, and then the Angels, as we talked about earlier, for a couple of games, All-Star game, and then they hit the road to go play the Mets and the Orioles. Right now, they're 3 games behind Arizona, so it's not like they're out of this. They do have a wild card spot, and at 46 and 37, they're still 9 games over. All they got to do is continue to win most of the time. They can't have these teams we should have beat losses, though. Right.
And I think it's one of the things you said is, you like their philosophy of it's one game at a time. They don't have to worry. They can move on from that game because the fans don't move on. And so they don't have to worry about it. It's, Dodger Twitter is just out of control when the Dodgers lose. And even sometimes when they win,
Like I said, sky is falling as soon as they lose a game, or if they lose more than one. They lost a series to the Royals, so we're of the worst teams. After 2 series with 2 of the worst teams in baseball, and they didn't look great versus, with the exception of the last game, and versus the Rocks, and then the series overall, they've not looked great. They're tired, I guess. You give them that, and they're going to go on playing the All-Star game, and then hopefully they'll have that couple of days in there, come back ready to go, and hopefully AF has been working hard through all this to get some relief and some innings. They need some people who can pitch some innings.
That's
and not
the biggest
just
thing.
Innings eaters, because they had Thor who would go out there and pitch till you took him out, even if he was getting shellacked.
Yeah.
So they need that.
He was like Pac-Man eating those innings, but
all right,
somebody who can pitch.
So I'm sure it's kind of hard in one way to pick somebody as a player of the week. However, there was one guy I know that stood out like bright, shiny lights.
So I was going to pick one guy because he really was, it seemed like every game he was doing stuff. But I went a different direction, and I picked somebody who was hitting, got himself on base, did have some RBIs, and I went with David Peralta.
That was a good one. Yeah, he had a pretty good week, and whenever you saw his name on the line, in the lineup or in the box score, there were usually a couple hits next to it or an RBI or something. I went with the one guy, kind of like what happened with the Angels. There's only one guy really, and this guy was Mookie Betts. How could you not?
Well,
except for what you're saying makes sense, because David Peralta definitely made a case for himself. Maybe not hitting 474 over the week, with 5 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 walks. Here's the thing that I love, 9 RBIs. Here's the thing that stood out to me and really solidified it for me, because I was looking at Peralta as well. 1 strikeout. That's all Mookie did. And Mookie struck out in past. You'll see more strikeouts. Only 1 strikeout in the 6 games that they played this last week.
Well, I was gonna go with Mookie, and then I was like, let me go back, and so that's why I went with Peralta.
All right, hopping in the bullpen cart, which has been done up in all-star colors and made the cap. Normally there's the cap. It's kind of got the all-star look, but it also looks like the Kingdom. So in honor of the all-star game in Seattle, we're going to talk about a few things here. Not a lot this time in Around Baseball, because we really covered most of it up with the all-star game and what's going on there. Some cool things happened this week. One is something that hasn't happened in 11 years. We'll talk all about that coming up. But first, we have the extended beginning of the month Player of the Week, Player of the Month. And I think you should start with the week, because on one side of it, it's a co-Player of the Week.
Yeah, and that's how I was going to start it out. I was debating, should I go month, should I go week? We'll go week first. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. grabs the Player of the Week award. He hit 5 home runs with a 1.916 OPS. He had 3 steals and a 6-0 team record for the Braves. He was part of that, and it was really because of what Ronald Acuna was doing on the field. He's also became the first player to have 20 plus homers and 35 plus steals before the All-Star break. There are co-players of the week for the American League. No surprise with the first one. Domingo Germán is the reason why he is player of the week. Perfection. He had a perfecto. He threw a perfect game in an 11-0 win over the A's. It's the 24th such game in American League National League history, and the first since Felix Hernandez did it in August of 2012. He only needed 99 pitches to get it done. And in its prior 2 starts, he allowed 15 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. So this one, it was his only start of the week, but he made the most of it, and that was an easy choice for Player of the Week. And then
now the question is, a lot of people have asked, if it was against the A's, does it really count?
Yeah.
And I think it does, because if it was that easy, everybody would throw perfect games against the A's, or at least no hitters.
Right, exactly.
So there's all that. And then just a couple other side notes. Domingo becomes the 4th Yankee in history to throw a perfect game. David Wells, David Cone, both had them, and then Don Larson. So it's all a D thing. Don Larson, so Don, David, and Domingo, all with perfect games in Yankees. Don Larson's, of course, perfect game in the World Series. The only one ever pitched.
Ever.
And out of that group that you mentioned of 24 total, 22 since 1900, because there were 2 thrown in 1880, nobody's thrown more than 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's... yeah, I mean, I think there's probably more stats you could throw out there.
We could probably go on and on about that. There's probably a lot of gee whiz, interesting stats, but that was just some that were cool. 11 zip win for the Yankees versus the A's in his perfecto. You said somebody was sharing this with him this week. How could you share Player of the Week when you've got a perfect game?
Well, that would be because in your league on the other coast, you've got a guy. Now, Domingo is the first player born in the Dominican Republic to throw a perfect game. But on the other coast, you've got a guy born in Japan who just is off the charts. And that would be Shohei Ohtani, who shares honors for the Player of the Week. He only had 1 start on the mound last week, but he allowed 1 run, had 10 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings. And then he also hit 2 home runs in that game. As we talked about, it was just the 6th time since 1900 that a player throwing 10 strikeouts and hitting multiple home runs in a game, and the first by an American League player since 1963. And of course, he didn't just end his week like, hey, that was good. I'm good. He had, in the 7-day span, he had 6 home runs, a 1.783 OPS, and he hit the longest, as of right now, the longest home run in MLB this season. He hit a 493-foot home run. And this is his 2nd Player of the Week award of the past month and the 6th of his career.
Which makes me wonder, will we hear his name again?
Well, let's jump to the June Players of the Month. And the American League Player of the Month, have you heard of him? I don't know if you've heard of this guy. Shohei Ohtani. I mean, who else? He was Player of the Month or of the Week in June twice. So
not surprising.
Pretty sure when you look at it, like, who else could it be?
Well, and he hit like 15 home runs in the month.
Yeah,
people are now, because he brought his batting average, which had been like in around 260, 270. He's up over 300. So people are now going, could he potentially be in the running for a Triple Crown?
Yes.
Stuff like that. It's nuts. Daring people to dream.
He is. He really is. He in this month in June, he hit 394, 15 home runs, 29 RBIs, 1.444 OPS. The only players on record since 1901 to have a higher OPS in a calendar month. And you had to have a minimum of 125 plate appearances, are Hall of Famers Babe Ruth, who did it 6 times, Lou Gehrig twice, Rogers Hornsby twice, and Joe DiMaggio once. The 3-time All-Star also has a 3.26 ERA, 37 strikes over 30 and a third innings on the mound.
Wow.
Now, this
Nice.
next guy, I don't think that you've ever heard of him. He's an up-and-comer. Not sure if you've ever heard of this guy, the National League Player of the Month, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Oh, no. Is he a rookie?
Yeah.
Did they just call him up? What's up with that?
Second time this season, third time in his career. He is the National League Player of the Month. Batting .356, 9 home runs, 22 RBIs, 26 runs, 14 steals over 25 games. He helped the Braves go 21-4 in the month of June. And when he hit his home run on June 30th, Acuna became the first player, like I said, with 20-plus home runs, 35-plus stolen bases before the All-Star break. So he is doing it all. Now we're going to look at the pitchers of the month, and in Boston, it is James Paxton who gets that award. He only made 6 starts from 2020 to 2022, but he's back in 2023. He had a 1.74 ERA with 34 strikeouts, 6 walks, and 18 hits allowed over 31 innings in the month of June. This is the second Pitcher of the Month award for Paxton, who previously won the honor in July of 2017 as a member of the Mariners, and he's the first Red Sox pitcher to win since Chris Sale did it in 2018. Blake Snell of San Diego is the National League Player of the Month. He was a strikeout machine. He tallied double-digit strikeouts in each of his final 4 starts. He finished the month with 53 strikes over 31 innings. He registered a 0.87 ERA and a 0.68 WHIP over 5 starts. He held his opponents to a 1.24 batting average and a .384 OPS along the way. He is a 3-time Pitcher of the Month award winner. He previously earned the AL honors twice during his 2018 Cy Young Award season with the Rays, and he is the second straight Padres pitcher to be named NL Pitcher of the Month after Michael Wacha won the award at the end of May. And then we're going to look at Rookies of the Month. You have Gunnar Henderson of Baltimore. He struggled over the first 2 months. He only had a 702 OPS, but he had a really big June. He had a 320 average. He had 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, and a .994 OPS over 20 games. And his win snaps Josh Young's streak after the Rangers' third baseman earned back-to-back Rookie of the Month awards. And this next guy, again, a name you probably have heard before, maybe not. Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks is the Rookie of the Month for the National League. He also, like we said, was voted as one of the starting outfielders. He's been doing it pretty much all year long. This month he hit 291, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, 25 runs, 8 steals, and a 979 OPS in June. And then our American League reliever of the month, out of Baltimore, Felix Bautista. He recorded 7 saves. He allowed 1 run in 10 2/3 innings for a 0.84 ERA. And he collected 22 strikes with no walks. And he's won 2 American League Reliever of the Month awards this season. And I didn't know this, but he is 6'8", because I guess I just haven't seen him pitch that often. But I will, because the Dodgers will be playing. Maybe I will. The Dodgers will be playing them here after the All-Star break. Now, this next guy, he must have just let it go in Philadelphia for the month of June, just said, the heck with it. I'm coming back. I got my chicken wing and I'm doing it. And that would be Craig Kimbrell. Over the first 2 months of the season, he had a 5.85 ERA, but in June, he had a .69 ERA with 21 strikes and only 6 hits allowed in 13 innings. The last time he won a Reliever of the Month award was way back in 2017. And that's it. That's your players, pitchers, relievers, and rookies of the month.
Wow. That's a pretty diverse group, but definitely you got those all-stars in there. I mean, you figure it's crazy how the top 2 vote getters were players of the month, and both not only players of the month, but also the most recent players of the week as well. Yep. They are both on fire. And Shohei is, I got to tell you right now, everybody figured 500, 600 million potentially. If he keeps playing the way he is, let's say he does get to Triple Crown territory. Let's say he puts himself in a position to even maybe look at the pitching Triple Crown and Cy Young, maybe $1 billion a year is what he could probably even ask for. Somebody's would almost be willing to pay him that. He is going to, he's moved out of that 500 range right now. It may settle in later, but 600, 700, I wouldn't be surprised that the bidding war that will probably take place for Shohei.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yes, but that'll be something that we get to watch probably more in the off season. So, like we were talking about, we got trade deadline is the next really big thing. And I think about the 1st of August, we have to really start looking at who's playing how and what, and start, looking at when it becomes too late.
Yeah, one trade that we've seen some little trades. I say little, but trades here and there. But I think a bigger trade came this past week when Aroldis Chapman, the Royals traded him to the Texas Rangers. So this is the Texas Rangers already looking forward, saying this is where we're at, this is where we want to be, and not doing things too late.
Now, I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's kind of, seems like it could be, is that Aroldis Chapman was mad that he got traded because he was like, now I have pressure. Pitching for Kansas City, I could just go out and pitch. But now they're in a playoff run. I don't want that kind of pressure. I just want to go out and pitch. He's like Chris Bryant.
Right.
It seems like Chris Bryant doesn't seem like he really wants any pressure on him. And I don't know if that's true or not. It could have just been one of those things. But if it is, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, I saw that too. And you wonder, but I mean, maybe if it's true, if he's talking about pressure when he was pitching for like the Yankees, is it going to be a different atmosphere in Texas?
Well,
and maybe not have that same, and not have the same, you don't have the same manager, different guy. Bruce Bochy more relaxed than Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone has been ejected more times than any other manager in the game.
Which makes him one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. No, I like Aaron Boone.
But I think that his thing was his competition.
Yes.
Now we're playing for something.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in Kansas City, I'm not playing for anything other than just to play the game. I can go out and be very relaxed and throw. If we win, we win. We lose, we lose. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but not in his mind, not the same way.
Right. Which I think also you could look at somebody like Salvador Perez, who plays for Kansas City, and he loves playing the game, and you like watching him play the game because he is so relaxed.
Right.
Would he be the same in a situation where they're going for the pennant, the World Series,
let's go
whatever.
back and look at 2015 Sal Perez.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they won the World Series then. Of course, he was younger then too.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. If down the road here a little bit, we didn't find out that Aroldis Chapman did something stupid and ended up on the wheel.
Right now on the wheel, Now, this guy's not completely on the wheel. We'll see if he takes a 10-day trip on the wheel, and that would be Josh Naylor, the Guardians' first baseman, who is listed as day-to-day after injuring his wrist. Brent Suter, the Rockies' relief pitcher, is on the 15-day IL with an oblique injury.
Oblique. Oh, my side. Oh, my side.
I thought I could get in there real fast. Framber
You
Valdez.
waited. You knew I was going to do it. You set me up there. That's why I waited for a little bit.
Framber Valdez is listed as day-to-day with an ankle injury. Brandon Drury's on the 10-day IL with a left shoulder contusion. Mike Trout is now on the IL. I had him listed as day-to-day, but he is now on the IL. Wrist injury. Looks like 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be out.
I was reading about that with the injury that he has. What is it? I don't know how you said that. I can't remember what it was, like the hamate bone or the hamate bone or something like that. And that they could do a surgery and just take it out. And I guess the fractures and that stuff is when the knob of the bat hits the area of the wrist between the hand and the wrist, and it breaks that bone. So they can just take it out, and then once your sutures and everything heal, then you're done.
And you have to worry about it.
And then you just rehab a little bit, and you're good, and you don't ever have to worry about it again. But that's like losing an excuse as to why you can't play.
Yeah.
You know. You can't like, oh, my grandma died. You can only really do that twice.
Right.
Unless you're like, I saw an 8th-generation picture, unless you're like my great-great-great-great-grandma. She's 293 years old. She just passed away.
That's it. She gave up the ghost.
But once she's gone, you can't ever use that again.
No, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, we knew somebody that it seemed like all their coworkers had cancer. It's like, do you want to work there anymore? You know, is this contagious? I don't know.
I didn't think it was, but maybe.
Yeah. Clayton Kershaw's on the 15-day IL with left shoulder soreness. Shane McClanahan on the 15-day IL with lower back pain. Garrett Whitlock of the Red Sox is on the 15-day IL with right elbow inflammation. And then Royce Lewis, the third baseman for the Twins, is on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain.
Oblique. 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 I moved the wrong way and I hurt my side. Now I got pain and tears in my eyes. Oh, my oblique. Oblique.
Orioles starting pitcher Michael Kopech is on the 15-day IL with right shoulder inflammation. Cabrian Hayes is on the IL with lower back inflammation. Anthony DeScalfani of the Giants, also a pitcher, shoulder fatigue. I mentioned all these pitchers, part of my research that I've been doing. And Thaido Estrada his hand is fractured after being hit by a pitch. And I'm going to leave this one for last. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is on the 10-day IL with an oblique injury.
Oblique.
So not a lot. There's a lot of guys coming off of the IL, but I mentioned there are a lot. There's the majority of guys that have been on the IL are pitchers, and I wonder with Clayton Kershaw, he's been able to throw, but he has the left shoulder soreness, and I wonder if a lot of that is because he's used to pitching. You know, he pitches at least 7 innings, sometimes a little bit more, but he really is the guy in the rotation. And so if it's just kind of taking a toll on him. And it comes at a time where it's not too bad because we have the All-Star game. And with all of these guys that go on the IL before the All-Star game, that break counts for those 10 or 15 days for pitchers. So it kind of can work in their favor, in their team's favor, to maybe help get them healthy and get them back for the second part of the season.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate that. Once again, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling RivalryBB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling RivalryBB with the A.
On the website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Check out our Fanatics link to go out and get yourself all kinds of great gear, including your team's all-star hat or a jersey from your favorite all-star, whether they be American or National League, as we get to enjoy the all-star game from Seattle's Kingdom this coming week. We'll talk about all that next week, and it's time to start looking over the next few weeks. Who's still playing good? Are any teams starting to fall back? Are any of these fast starts about to fall apart? We'll see. Can teams like the Braves and the Rays continue with their winning ways? And of course, start kind of checking around and seeing what's going to happen at trade deadline. And obviously what we hope happens at trade line for our two favorite teams, the Angels and the Dodgers. So it's been great hanging out with you. We can't wait to talk to you next week right here on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Don't forget to swing away.